This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to GoOnlineTrainings.com. We had seen most of the Power Query transformations, which are very very simple. You don't get much more interview questions from the Power Query. They may ask you here and there how to split the data, how to create a duplicate, what is the difference between duplicate and reference, right? And when you copy, what will happen? When you duplicate, what will happen? When you reference a table, what will happen? What is the parameters in your Power Query? So this kind of a basic questions are going to be asked. These are the basic questions going to be asked, and Power Query is not very complicated at all. When you once you practice it, you will be able to understand. Never worry about these options, because even if I don't work for 1 month or 2 months, I don't understand what is the option where it is. But still, we should be able to go and get the things done automatically. So never by heart and try to remember these options. These are there. Just go through once. For example, I would like to convert something, I would like to do something, where should I go and where should I work on it? Clear? So those things you will be able to get it. Not very complex, guys. Clear? Now, once you take the data from here, let me take some Excel workbook data today. I wanted to take employee data. So department and employee, I wanted to take this tables data, and I wanted to take SQL Server as well. So dot means local SQL Server. Let me go to Amazon or Amazon DW. Some database you can take it. I have two options: import and direct query. So this is very very important and interview topic. So that is also we're going to discuss today. What is import? What is direct query? When to use import? When to use direct query? And what are the advantages, disadvantages? All these things you have to understand. I'm going to be using importing of data, warehousing data. I have a database here. Let me open SQL Server or Oracle, wherever you have a database, right? So Amazon DW. I want to take this data. I have a couple of tables: dim customer, dim location, dim product, dim time, fact sales. Lot of tables are available here. I wanted to take some of the tables. You may be taking the data from the tables, or you may be getting the data from functions, or you may be getting the data from views. You may be getting the data from stored procedures. We don't know. So sometimes the customer may give you a function like this. Hey, get the data from this function. Sometimes customer may give you a data from a table, or sometimes customer may give you a view. This is a view, right? I would like to get the data from a view. So you should understand what is a view. You cannot say, sir, I know only basics of SQL. I don't understand what is a view. Sir, I don't understand what is a stored procedure. Why? Because I know only basics of SQL. I have learned only 10 videos of SQL. Means you'll get caught in 10 minutes, right? So people may give you data in a table. People may give you data in a stored proc function, a view. What is a view? What is a function? What is a stored proc? You have to learn. So I have given you two modules in SQL videos, right? So one is called SQL, that is first module, and the second module is called T-SQL. What do you mean by T-SQL? Which is a transact SQL. This is advanced SQL, right? Where you get a views. Very, very simple, not very complex. Then I would have given stored procedures, and functions are called as a user defined functions, right? And you would have got triggers and cursors, right? All these things you need to study. Even though you're not able to use them in your in your company, you must know. But these are compulsory. You must learn views, stored procedures, and functions. I have simplified it. So in SQL, We know how to use DDL, DML, and TCL and DCL, all these things. And maximum time, we also worked on a lot of other things, queries. Okay, queries, I think I spent almost 15 classes, joins, subqueries. So lot of things I have taught, right? So we have derived tables, lot of things. And I spoken about very, very important concept, temp tables, right? You have to know CT is common table expressions, ranking functions, right? You cannot leave them, guys. You cannot leave them. So all these things you need to learn. So two topics, T-SQL programming is one thing and a SQL. So these are the two comes under your SQL Server videos, okay? So when you buy SQL Server videos, I tell you, you will be able to get 45 to 50 videos, you will be getting it, right? So SQL Server is basic and T-SQL ways transact SQL views store procedure. You need to study them properly. Then we have indexes, very, very important topic. You go any interview, people are going to be asking this topic, this topic, this topic, this topic, joins, everywhere these are going to be asked. So you cannot say, I don't know what is a view. I don't know what is a stored procedure. I don't know what is a trigger. I don't know what is the index means. You will get caught in the first 20 minutes of the interview, right? They will know that you're a fake. Okay, you don't know SQL means. So people will not give you always data from Excel sheets. Companies are going to be giving you the SQL everywhere. When you go to the companies, you will get a lot of data from SQL, right? That time you cannot say, sir, I would like to study SQL Server videos. I never studied, but I got a job, means you will be thrown out of the company. One of the guy got job in Pune company with 10 lakhs a package. They asked day one after joining the company, they asked, what is that? You know, sir, I know only Power BI. Then the next question they asked, do you know SSIS? No. Do you know SSRS? No. Do you know data warehousing? No. Do you know SQL in depth? No. But what do you know? Sir, I know only Power BI. 1 month they kept him in a bench for 1 month. Then the next month the HR written a mail. Whatever the skills that you have, we don't have a project on the skills that you know it. You please resign the company and go. Please submit your laptop and go. That is the mail he got it. After 1 month, first month salary he got it. Then second month he got a mail. So whatever you know it, we don't have a project on that. So please resign and leave immediately. So then that guy joined with us. Sir, those guys did not teach anything properly, sir. I lost the opportunities. Like two companies, he lost the opportunities, right? Then he studied for 3 months SQL Server and everything, and now he is, got into, I think, Capgemini Cognizant. Just 10 days ago, he got one offer letter and he joined the with the proper knowledge. So getting the knowledge is very, very important than getting job. Job, anyhow, you will be able to get it, right? So I'm able to get a lot of data from these databases. Clear? So these databases, I'm able to get it. Let me show you. So what is the agenda that we're going to be having? So I think we had worked on the Power Queries. So we have to close and apply. When we close and apply, it is going to be extracting the data and dumping the data into your Power Pivot model. So the next important topic that we're going to be executing is or working on is Power Pivot. So Power Query, we have done it. So another, 7 to 10 classes completely working on Power Pivoting model. In the Power Pivoting model, we had seen what is relationship, right? So in Power Pivot model, what normally we do, we create a lot of relationships here, and we know what is one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. That already we discussed many a times. Again, we'll discuss these relationships. Now, we are going to be working on DAX queries and everything in the next 2 weeks of time. Clear? Once the DAX queries and Power Pivot is over, the last option we have is that creating a Power Visualizations and creating a dashboards, visualizations, and deploying the reports to the reports of Power BI cloud and everything. We'll be having it. Then row level security, lot of other things that will be working on this. So whole month we are busy to completing these chapters. Okay, so Power Query is done. So this is what is we have started, and this is what we have done it. The step number 2 is we are here. Step number 2, we are here, Power Pivot. Clear? Here you are going to be doing a data modeling. Data modeling means creating a relationship. We knew what is one-to-one. We knew what is one-to-many. And if you reverse it, it will become many-to-one. The last one is many-to-many. So these things already we discussed, I think. These things already we discussed. If not, we'll discuss once more and we'll complete data modeling. So here you don't have anything else but to create a relationships. What is one-to-one and what is many-to-one? If you reverse it, many-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. So what is the important question you will be able to get in the data modeling is, so what are the relationships that we have, and how do you solve many to many relationship, and what are the other options in relationship? You may get 3 to 4 interview questions from here. We'll complete everything. So once that is over, so the next module is enhancing a data model. So this is where enhancing data modeling. Enhancing data modeling means we create a new columns here. We create a new columns, we create a new tables. Okay, we can create a new columns, new tables, we create a new measures. So all these things we discussed, we're going to be discussing in these 2 weeks. So to do this, we are going to be using one more language. That language is called DAX. Okay, so if you want to create a new column, new measure, so we are going to be writing a lot of expressions, right? So in the second step, so next 1 week, we also discuss about EDM. EDM means enhancing data modeling. Enhancing data modeling means creating new columns, new tables, blah, blah, blah. So when you click on something here, you are going to be seeing couple of options: new measure, new table, new column, new table, blah, blah, blah. Okay, new column, quick measure, blah, blah, blah. So this is what we're going to be doing. So this is where we are going to be creating what? So DAX, data analytical expressions. Clear? So this is the area where you're going to be writing. So this is what is called enhancing data modeling. In the creating data modeling, we understand only relationship. Enhancing data modeling, after creating a relationship, we create some more columns, because sometimes the customer is going to be asking you, I need not only this data, I need extra column to be created. I need extra table to be created. I need extra measures to be created. What is a measure? What is a column? Everything we'll discuss. With the help of a DAX, we're going to be achieving this. So in the Power Pivot, we are going to be using DAX formulas. Very, very simple. C equals to A plus B. This is a DAX formula. You can understand. A is 10, B is 20, 20 plus 30 equals 30. So that we can get it. Clear? So C equals to A plus B is a DAX formula. Anybody can write simple expressions. Very, very simple, not very complex. DAX is going to be used not only in Power BI, DAX is used in Excel as well. Okay, DAX also used in Excel, and we are going to be creating a tabular model cube. I told you, right? We are going to be using one more concept called a tabular model cube. Okay, so which is as part of SSAS. So DAX is going to be used in Power BI, in Excel, Power Pivot, in SSAS model cube. Clear? Excel also got a Power Pivot module. Power BI is also got a Power Pivot module. Actually, Power Pivot and Power Query and Power View from Excel only, not from Power BI. But after that, in 2012, Microsoft is introduced. So all these features in Excel. So whenever we install, Excel 2010 or 2012, we had Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View modules as part of Excel. In 2015, Power BI is launched, and all these features have been merged into single tool. The tool is renamed as Power BI Desktop. Clear? So Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View now is available in Power BI. The same features also available in your Excel as well. Clear? So, we are going to be using Power BI, DAX formulas in Power BI, Excel Power Pivot plus SSAS tabular model cube. So where we're going to be using a DAX formula. DAX stands for data analytical expressions. Data analytical expressions, very, very simple. And we're going to be discussing lot of functions, DAX functions for complete week. At least 5 to 6 classes will be working on only functions, so that you are very, very good in very, very simple to complex functions. And we will give you lot of other things. Clear? So this is what is called Power Pivot. So Power Pivot where So Power Pivot where you're going to be doing step number 1 is data modeling. Step number 2, where enhance the data modeling. So this is where you're going to be creating DAX formulas. This is where you do the relationships creation, right? So we knew what is relationships, and we have to learn DAX and everything. Clear, guys? So this will be for next 1 or 2 weeks. We're going to be discussing this one as well as this one. Then later we'll be jumping on to Power View. So we create a visualizations, then later we will share it, we'll deploy it, we'll see how to apply security, and we'll see how to create visualizations with the cube and blah blah blah. All of them we're going to be learning. So the next 1 or 2 weeks, the complete month is sufficient for you to understand this. Clear? So that is what is the agenda, guys. Introduction to Power View, data modeling and enhancing data modeling. DAX stands for data analytical expressions, and we need to understand today what is the data access modes. Data access modes where, especially when you're working with SQL and Oracle databases, we need to understand this point also. Okay. So what is that, the Power Pivot is going to be doing, which is in-memory database, stores data in memory 10 times faster, compresses the data, raw databases or SQL Server, Oracle, columnar databases, Power Pivot. Let me tell you what is the difference between raw database and columnar database. Okay, I have some employee table. Okay, so I create a table in my SQL Server or any Oracle or MySQL, any RDBMS. So we knew how to create a tables. Nobody can teach us because already we're studying. So how to create one table, I show you. Employee table. So we have employee ID, employee name, and employee salary, blah, 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 employee cities. So this is my data. So how the data is stored in the SQL Server? Row level only we are going to be storing the data. So employee number 1, let us say John, salary is 1000, city Bangalore. Employee number 2, let us say Anum, salary 1200, she is in Chennai. Employee number 3, let us say Salman, the salary is 1000, and there is staying in Chennai, right? So like that, we have lot of data. So John is male and Anu is female and male. Like that, we have large amount of data. So row-wise data, these are called row databases. So rows and columns are going to be stored, and all the data is going to be stored like this. This is a row databases. So we have Bhaskar, salary is let us say $1000, and they're in Hyderabad, and the male. So this is the database. Which database? Row databases. Okay, but when you come to Power Pivot, Power Pivot is not a raw database, which is not going to store the data in this structure, which is going to be storing the data in columnar format. Power Pivot is a database. What kind of a database? Which is not a raw database, columnar database, and which is a 10 times faster. It compresses the data 10 times faster. Why 10 times faster? Because row level data is stored in the hard disk, remember. But columnar database data is going to be stored in the RAM. RAM means memory. Clear? So because of this reason, you can store terabytes of data here. There is no limit because you have a hard disk. So you cannot store terabytes of data. Power Pivot can store, we knew, 10 GB of data, not more than that. Because if you have 100 GB of data coming from the source, it is going to be compressed and going to be storing 10 GB of data. If you have 1 terabyte of data, 1 terabyte means 1000 GB of data, I cannot store it here. I cannot store it here. Why? Because which is a columnar database which stores everything in your RAM, and when you compress it 10 times lesser than this means 100 GB. 100 GB I cannot have it here. Power Pivot, the maximum storage capacity is what? 10 GB. But what should I do if we have so much of a data? What should we do? We cannot do anything here. So we simply take this data, dump into data warehousing. We cannot do that with the help of SSIS. We can dump into data warehouse and you create only visualizations, nothing else. You create only visualizations here. You cannot do anything else, right? So people may ask me, if you have so much of a data, if you have 100 GB, then whatever you're telling is good, sir. But if I have 100,000 GB, who's going to be storing? So all the data, if you have lesser than 100 GB, it can go because maximum capacity 10 GB you can have. And it is stored in the RAM only. Your RAM size, if you have 2 GB of RAM, so 10 GB of data, you cannot store it. You need to have upgrade your RAM to minimum 12 to 14 GB of data. So at least 10 GB you can accommodate it, right? But if I have 1 terabyte of data or 10 terabytes of data, can I, perform ETL operation and store the data? You cannot do that. So that is where you use what? SSIS. So instead of, ETL, what are we going to be using? SSIS, extract the data, transform the data. Instead of loading into where? Power Pivot is 10 GB. So we create what? Data warehousing. So 10 terabyte data warehousing is not going to compress. It is not going to compress, which is not a columnar database, which is simply a raw database. Clear? So here MySQL SQL Server is going to be there. So 10 terabyte of data will be as it is 10 terabytes only. No compression, nothing will happen. So only we don't use this, storing. We were doing Power Pivot, storing we were using data warehouse. So only for the visualization you go. You create a visualization with the Power BI and you create a report with this, you deploy. So when you deploy the report here, so this report for the data purpose, it is going to come here always because it is not going to store the data, complete data in the cloud. Only the visualizations are stored here. So whenever the end user click on this report, it will go get the data from here and merge it and it's going to be showing. So this is what is called a traditional BI system. So MS BI we are going to be using when you have a large amount of data. Clear? So storing is done by a normal row level database. So this is what is called a columnar database where we write the DAX formulas. So here we write simple queries and everything. We take this data, we create a visualization and we create a report. This report is published. Whenever you are using the report, so this report will come here and gets the data and it's going to be putting the data. Clear? So that is what you have to know clearly. Clear? So now let us discuss about what is a columnar database. Clear? So Power BI, you have like this, you have 10 GB, everything is faster. So how it is going to be taking? It is taking like this. Columnar database means column wise data, it will store separately like this. It will take this column and store separately. It will take this data, it will store like this separately. It will take this data and store separately like this. Columnar database is not going to store the data row level. It is going to be taking the column level like this. Every column is cut and it is going to be storing the data. This column data, this column data. It is not going to store all the data like this. For example, what is my salary? So what is my salary? 1000 plus 1200 plus 1000 plus 1000. So 1000 is repeated 3 times. So why should I store 1000 those many times? For example, I have 10 million data. In 10 million data, many people are having 1000, 1000, 1000, 1200, 1200, 1200, 2000, 2000, 2000. Why should I waste my space? So it will say 1000 and how many times it is there? 3 times. Why should I waste space? Let me delete and it will keep 3 here. What is the meaning of 3? This 1000 is repeated 3 times. 1200 is repeated, one time. Like that, it is going to be storing in different technique. For example, if I need what is the total salary, if I have a row level database, I go 1000 plus 1200 plus 1000 plus 1000. The calculations are differently done here. The calculation is differently done. 1000 into 3, 3000 here, plus 1200 into 1, 1200 here. Now the total is this. So the calculation in the columnar databases is completely compressed. How it is compressed? It is not going to store like this. It is not going to wastage of it is not going to waste. It is memory. So it's going to be compressing. So 1200 is only one time. You have 1750 only one time. Like that, it is going to be storing. So if you have a 10 million data also, 10 million data will get compressed to only 500,000 data, and how many times it got repeated, that will get stored here. Clear? Now the calculations are slow, differently done here, so that it is much more faster and it is much more slow. Why? Because it has to read lot of data from multiple pages. It is going to be compressing like this. It is going to be having minimum data. For example, I am storing male, female, male, female. Why are you wasting the space here? So here it is going to be taking only one male and only one female. That's it. So in which places the male is repeated, it will show you in which places this is female. For example, I have a bigger spelling, MALE, FEMALE, and male. See, what is the space I am occupying? So what is the space I'm occupying? You can understand. So instead of storing male, female, so it is going to be, giving you male only once and female only once, and which is going to be again, it is going to be giving a shortcut 1 and 2. Clear? It is not going to repeat, and it will say where it is getting repeated. So internally, which is going to put some algorithms and compresses, and male is not going to be repeat and female is not going to be repeated. It is going to be giving a shortcut names, and wherever male, it is going to be storing like this. Clear? So like that, the data will get compressed with the help of different techniques. And the female means this. Clear? So at the time of showing, it will tell you male and female, but at the time of compressing, it is going to be putting some mask value. It is going to be putting some mask values. Mask means instead of this, it is going to be putting 1. Instead of this, it's going to be putting 1, because here we have 4 letters. In this case, we have only 1 letter. So it'll get compressed. Clear? The whole data, it is going to be storing not in the row format. So these are called row databases. Row databases will be very, very slow. And row databases cannot compress and very slow to read the data. And these are, SQL Server, Oracle, any RDBMS is a row level database, right? Columnar databases are Power Pivot, and even tabular model cube is a columnar database, which is going to be using a technology called X velocity technology. Okay, which is going to be using a technology called X velocity technology. So why should I read the row? I don't have, for example, I wanted to know what is the sales, what is the salary, total salary. To get total salary, first it will go to the row and read the row and read the row. The first question, why should I read this? Why should I read this? Because my question is, what is the total salary? right? To go to the salary, I have to go row level, because reading is going to be happening in the sequence of a database row level. But here I simply go to this cell and read only this data. So reading is also very, very faster, because I don't want to, read anything. So whenever you have a columnar databases, column level reading is faster, row level reading is slow. And the columnar database is going to be putting all the data into the RAM, and which is going to be compressed, which is not going to store all the data as it is. When you say click on load, when you go to transform data, when you go to transform data, when you say close and apply here, when you say close and apply, you don't think that it is stored like this. It is showing you like this. It does not mean that it is storing like that. Okay, so it is showing you like this, but it is not stored like this. It is stored in this format only. So this data is going to be stored like this and doing a lot of compressions and everything. So that is what is called as a Power Pivot columnar database. Clear? It's very, very important and interview question. And when you have a large amount of data, you cannot use columnar, because columnar is always storing data in where? RAM, memory. So when you shut down the memory, what happens? The data goes. Power off means data goes. Again, when you switch on the machine, it is going to be loading the data, again putting the data into your Power Pivot database. Clear? So you can use it. So when the machine is on means you're going to be loading and keeping everything ready. So when you arrive, so when you go back, when you shut down the computer, all the data gets removed from the RAM, because RAM means when you shut down the computer, nothing will be there. Again, when you start the machine, so when you start a machine and everything, all the data is going to be loading to your RAM. Clear? So RAM data is completely which data? It is a faster, 10 times faster than columnar databases. But hard disk data will be there in hard disk permanently. That's it. So that is what you got to understand. So guys, are you clear? Any questions? So these are the things I spoken about. In memory, stores data in memory 10 times faster, compress the data. Row databases are this. These are always slow. Row databases are always slower databases. Okay, so you can say slower by. These are in the hard disk, and these databases are always faster. Where you can see columnar databases. One is in Power BI. The second one is SSAS tabular model is also columnar database. Clear? All the points are good, holds good in your SSAS cube. Why cube? That is that we'll discuss later, but you should know that point, right? So we will come and we need to understand the Power Pivot data modeling here. So that is where we need to start our classes. Clear? So because we're going to be starting with Power Pivot, right? So again, we'll go back and revisit our data modeling concept once again here. We have discussed these two. These two are called Power Pivot, but we need to again revisit this part. What is this? This is a data modeling part. Then next week, we can revisit enhancing data modeling part. Okay. So when you go to data modeling, we need to understand what is one-to-one, what is one-to-many, what is many-to-many. Clear? So whenever we create a relationships, why are we going to create a relationship? Because if relationship is there, we can easily get what is called as a visualizations, right? For example, I have an employee, I have a department table. If I have an employee and a department table, if there is no relationship, what is that the problem? I wanted to know department name wise employees. Why relationships? I wanted to create one visualization. Let me go to one visualization, double click on a table. Now in this visualization, I wanted to get employee data. So the employee name, I would like to get it. So got the employee, and I wanted to go to department table and see department name of the employee. Can I get it? It is not working. Why? So visualization is accepting the values from more than one table. If more than one table means you have to have a relationship, then only it works, right? So if it is, let me drag and drop a table and I wanted to get employee name. Let me go to employee table. So let me go to employee name. I got employee name, employee salary, and employee department ID, everything coming from a single table. So employee department ID, don't summarize. Okay. So go here, then we do the formatting, come down. So border, make it on, and we go style, we'll change it to some flashy rows, and we increase the font in grid, come down, row, text one. What is the text? Text size I would like to have, let us say 25. Okay. Now I will be able to see the visualization. Why? Because I am able to get the data from single table. If you are getting only data from one table, then there is no need of creating a relationship. Clear? But I'm not like that. I need a employee data plus I need a department name to be visible. Department ID I can show you, but I need department name also to be there in my report. So I'm retrieving the data from multiple tables in a single visualization. That is where we are going to be creating a relationships. Clear? Why relationships are important? Because I have multiple tables. So I wanted to create a visualization, but visualization is getting the data not only from one table, from multiple tables. If you don't have a relationship, see, now you can go and check the relationships where you need to go here and check. So let me click on this. Now, department to employee, no relationship. If there is no relationship, now I will not be able to get department name. If I get department name, this visualization will fail. That's it. Can't display the data. Why? Because what is missing now? What is missing? Relationship is missing. So why relationship? We discussed these points. Again, we are iterating because we wanted to understand Power Pivot. Clear? So that is what is the point. Now let me erase all drawings. Let me remove this. So let me go back and double click and take one chart. So I wanted to have a department ID wise department ID, and I wanted to have salary and department ID. I wanted to take it to access some access. So now department ID is here. Clear? If you see department wise, I'm able to get different charts. But instead of a department ID, I remove it here. I drag and drop a department name. You're able to get equal charts. Why equal charts? Means you don't have the primary key and foreign key relationship, right? So the chart is not showing correctly. Let me go here and I take department ID to department ID. I create a relationship, but it's creating one too many. I go there now, I can see the visualization like this. Clear? So I go and always I switch on the border. Now you should be able to go to x-axis and increase the font to, let us say, 17. So you have R&D department is doing fantastically good. Marketing is doing good. Then we also give what is the salaries they're paying. Data label. Okay. Data label font also you wanted to increase. And I would like to have none displaying unit values. So I wanted to have the font size is, let me make it 15. So R&D employees are getting 17,980 salary per month. Marketing department employees are getting 15,060 dollars every month. Like that, people who are on the bench, Blank means some employees are not working for any, department. They're on the bench. So the bench guys are every monthly getting $7,000. Like that, I can show you the date, right? But if I go and delete the relationships, what is going to be happening? It is going to be, let me right click on this, delete it. So when I go to visualization, everything is the same number. When you see same numbers here, you can understand this visualization is getting data from multiple tables. You can understand what is the problem in this. This is also interview question. They'll ask you, they'll show you, I have some x-axis data, I'm having a y-axis data. My chart is not properly showing the data. What could be the reason? The reason is very simple. You are getting the data from multiple tables, no primary key foreign key relationship. Clear? So the values may be coming from X table. This data may be coming from Y tables. X and Y tables need to have a relationship. That's what you can tell. Clear? So when the chart is giving like this, the relationships are not maintained properly. So the data is coming from here. So we have to create. So what kind of relationship we need to maintain? That we already discussed. What is one-to-one we discussed? What is many-to-one discussed? If you reverse it, it will become many-to-one. The last one is M to M, right? So this we discussed, this also we discussed, and this also we discussed, right? So many to many directly we cannot implement. So I was discussing by creating a bridge table. If you remember, one hospital, many doctors. So we are going to be creating a bridge table, and we were creating a many to many relationship that time. Clear? So one to one I discussed with country table. You revisit your, videos. Country and the president's table I have taken. I have given you about this. The one to many relationship, I spoken about a department table to employee table. So these two videos are there. The M to M also I have told you with the help of doctor table and patient table. Sorry, doctor and hospital table. Clear? In doctor and hospital table, we create a two, that is one to many, it is many to one here. So in both ways, it is many to many. And we create a bridge table. I told you this, right? You revisit. So it will become one to many, and it will become many to one. So many to many relationship will be cut into one to many to many by creating a bridge table. That's what I would have discussed. Clear? In tomorrow's class, very, very important interview question. I don't want to give a bridge table. I don't want to create a bridge table, and use straight away. You must use M to M relationships and create a visualization. So SQL Server does not have many to many relationship. Why? SQL Server is a two-dimensional architecture, rows and columns only. Any RDBMS cannot implement many to many relationship directly. So this I told you many times, and earlier also you watched that video. So today SQL DB does not support many to many relationship. If you wanted to store many to many, what they do in SQL Server or Oracle, they create two tables. They create one more table called bridge table. So many to many, how they're going to be using? They'll create one to many here, many to one here. Okay, that is how many to many is going to be resolved in your SQL or RDBMS databases, because RDBMS is two-dimensional database. Clear? But Power BI is implementing last year, not before that. Last year, earlier, we should also use a bridge table in Power BI. When till 2019, okay, 2020, without having a bridge table, without having this, directly with the help of two tables, you should be able to create MS to M relationship in your Power BI. So this is the interview question. Power BI people would ask you, how did you work on many to many relationship without creating a bridge table in Power BI? So with the bridge table, how do you do this? With the bridge table means very simple. One to many, many to one. It is very, very simple. Clear? But now without using a bridge table, how can you do that? So this is what is the next topic tomorrow, because 1:1 we discussed already. One to many also we discussed. So tomorrow we'll have two scenarios. One with the bridge table, one with the without a bridge table. Okay, this is a very, very important interview question. So that is what we are going to be learning, so that we will complete the relationships here. The next one we are going to be discussing is that import mode. I told you, right? When you have getting a lot of data from RDBMS database, for example, when you get 100 GB of data, 100 GB of data, we are going to be compressing into 10 GB. But the SQL server is having 100 terabytes of data. Now, will you import the data? Importing the data means getting all the data and putting into Power Pivot. So 100 GB will become 10 GB here, right? But tomorrow, if they give you 100 terabytes of data, so this is what is called 100 terabytes of data, we are not going to directly import here. We use a direct query option. Okay, what is the meaning? You take the data from the data warehousing, you simply do what? You're simply creating a Power Pivot. Power Pivot is not going to load anything data here. So no data will be here. Simply it will have a structure, table, columns, and everything will be there. You can create only the structure. Okay, so you can create a model, but data will not be there. What will be there? Only the table names and column names are visible. So when you say direct query, data is not going to come, only the structure is come. Structure means what? Column names. That's it. Column names are very simple. But when you click on the column, you don't get any data here. Then we are going to be creating a visualization. If there is no data here, so it will go, and from here it is going to be getting the data. Clear? It is not going to get the data from here. So this will be data warehouse. You have 100 terabytes of data. So we are going to use a direct query. When you're using a direct query, it is not going to dump any data here. It is not going to dump any data here. So that is what is important, guys. My voice, am I clear? Or are you getting any disturbance in the voice? Srilata saying, I'm not able to clear to her. What about others, guys? Am I clear?
It's clear,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, okay. Clear. So tomorrow we'll
Yes, sir.
discuss about the import versus direct query. And when you have so much of a data, I don't want to store the data in my Power Pivot model. So I simply direct query. So that is also we'll discuss. Clear? And we'll continue further. So import means tables plus data. Direct query means only table scheme, right? So this we'll discuss tomorrow. So, and we also discuss about one to many. So this also we'll discuss tomorrow. So one more question you will be getting it. So how to use using a bridge table, and how to without a bridge table you can use this many to many, because one to m I discussed already. We will discuss this in tomorrow's class, and later we'll jump on to what this one. So after that we'll start with the DAX queries and everything. Clear, guys? Any questions?